Hi and welcome back to a new video. Again, RTX 4080 testing. We already had a card with a good cooler, bad selection of components. That was the Strix with a lot of coil wine. Then we had the Gigabyte card with a good selection of components on the PCB, no coil wine, but not so good cooling and also terrible software. And for today, I'm actually not quite sure what we have here. It's the Palette Game Rock Midnight Kaleidoscope, they call it. And yeah, I think the design leaves room for discussion. When I received the card, I asked some of my employees what they think about the card, and everybody pretty much said, "What the hell is this design?" Except for Cora. She said, "It's so beautiful." Before I start with the testing, just some quick words about the appearance of the card. Obviously, you have this diamond, they call it Midnight Kaleidoscope design. You probably either like it or dislike it. Talking about the fans, at least compared to the Gigabyte and also the ASUS card, and they have a smaller diameter, which means they would need a higher RPM to have the same throughput when it comes to the airflow. Looking at the aluminum fins of the cooler, we have a bit more spacing in between them compared to the Gigabyte card, so it might need a lower RPM for the same kind of throughput for the cooling. That's just a very quick assumption. Not sure if this is illuminated or not. On the back side, we have a backplate. Yeah, that's quite sleek. I actually like the backplate, especially when you look at the chamfering here. It's a bit of milling. Yeah, looks quite nice. But then there's one thing to it, and you can maybe already see it a bit on the camera. But if I put just this on here, there's the bend in here. Not quite sure. Is that only the backplate that's bent, or is it the entire card? You can also see that clearly if we measure just in the middle of the card. So it's like 69 millimeters. And now if we measure just in the back of the card, it's like 70.4, depending on the exact position. But yeah, it's about 1 to 1.5 millimeter difference in width comparing here to here. And that's what makes the card look like it's bent, but I think it's just the backplate that's standing out here for whatever reason. I think this way you can maybe see it a bit better. You can see the ruler lays on the surface here, also here, and in between. I think it's a gap of max maybe 2 millimeters. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure yet. At least once the colors are changing, it looks kind of nice. I will have to think about it. First impression, also talking about the coil wine. Subjectively speaking, it's much less than with ASUS, but it's a little bit more noticeable than compared to the Gigabyte card. After, as usual, 30 minutes of warm-up phase, we are looking at the stats of the card. Just below 2900 MHz on the GPU. That is about 20 to 30 MHz more than what we saw on the ASUS Strix or the Gigabyte Hours Master. But I also want to point out that you will not be able to tell a difference from 20 to 30 MHz. And at the same time, this could also be due to the individual GPU quality or the GPU silicon lottery. GPU temperature is about 3 to 4 degrees Celsius higher than the ASUS card. It's about the same level as the Gigabyte card, but it's also much lower in RPM than the Gigabyte card. Gigabyte was about 1800 RPM, and that's like 425 RPM lower. And you can definitely hear the difference in the noise level, which we're going to talk about in a second. Board power draw, again the same. About 290 to 295 watt power draw. You can see the power consumption is about 85-86% TDP, which then equals in a max power consumption or default power target of 350 watt. Honestly speaking, the noise level is very impressive, especially if we look at that the card is running at almost 1400 RPM. And it's just behind the ASUS Strix with 39.5 decibel. And it's far ahead the Gigabyte card. Slightly hidden on the backside, we can also spot a dual BIOS switch, which was set